Well, hello, everyone. My name is John Brenneman. I'm the president here at MOAA Vacations, joined today by our good friend Gina Conseco from Collette Vacations. And today, once we get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about MOAA Vacations. We do have some people who are on today's webinar who have not uh, been at a webinar previously. So I always like to talk a little bit about MOAA Vacations. I'm then going to turn it over to Gina, and Gina's going to talk about Collette for those of you who aren't familiar with them. I can tell you that more MOAA members take an escorted land tour through Collette than any other vendor. So they are a great product that is appreciated by a lot of members. And then after that, she's going to actually talk specifically about our MOAA signature group to the South Pacific, Australia, New Zealand. I'm going to get a little bit more into what the signature groups are all about in just a minute. And then we're going to end it with a Q&A. So Gina and I will stick around to answer any questions you might have. When I do get done with my introduction, I am going to answer questions in the Q&A during Gina's presentation. If it's something that I think everybody will be interested in, we will revisit it again at the end of the Q&A. But as you think of questions, go ahead and just pop them in that Q&A. If you take your cursor, your mouse, or whatever to the bottom of the screen, you'll see a little box at the bottom. It looks like it's like a television screen or a conversation box. Says question mark and it says Q&A. So that's just click on that and you can enter your questions right in there. We are, as we do, recording this webinar. So when we get done, we download it actually from Zoom, and then we upload it to Facebook, which surprisingly actually takes a couple of hours to do that, because this will be about an hour-long video. So later on this evening, you will receive an email that will have a link to this webinar. We started right on the hour, so if myself or Gina says anything you want to revisit, just take a look at your watch or your phone or the clock or whatever and make a note at what time it is. And then if Gina, let's say, says something 30 minutes after the hour, rather than watching the entire webinar, you can just fast forward to that point. We do, on everything we do here at MOAA Vacations, friends and family are invited. So if you are interested in going on Australia, New Zealand, feel free to share this with family and friends who you think might be interested in joining us. So real quick, MOAA Vacations, our reputation is built on providing a concierge level of service. We are here to assist you with any issues that occur before or during your trip. In fact, we are and continue to be the only travel agency in the country that does travel on a satisfaction guaranteed basis. And what that means is if you have an issue or a problem, whatever, in the overwhelming number of cases, you'll actually talk directly to me, and then I'll reach out. For example, if somebody were to have a problem on Collette, I would reach out to Gina, and the two of us would take care of that. So we try to get you an answer within 48 hours of any issue or problem. We do guarantee the lowest price. In fact, in addition to that, we do have a free amenity program. This is where vendors such as Collette recognize your past and continued service. With Collette, that is a $50 or $100 deposit on any tour that you book through Collette, any departure date. That is what they call an evergreen benefit. So if you book with Collette, that amenity is there. You can use it as many times a year as you'd like to. And that amenity, like everything that we offer here, is extended to anyone traveling with you. So if you book a trip and you bring along family or friends or fellow MOAA members, everyone who books with Collette will get that MOAA exclusive amenity. And then group opportunities. We do give you the opportunity to travel with your fellow MOAA members from across the country, as well as from your local chapter, if you do belong to a local chapter. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk a little bit more about today. So we have literally hundreds of groups that we have set up. In fact, if you're interested in Collette, we actually have a page on the website, which is just our Collette groups. But the signature groups are something a little special. I kind of refer to them as groups on steroids because they have everything that a normal group would have. You know, that opportunity to travel with your fellow MOAA members, so that camaraderie. a discount for the groups will have some kind of discount to them, so it is discounted pricing on the group as well. But these are, excuse me, additional things. So the first thing that we have that we always talk about is MOA leadership and staff will be on this Australia New Zealand tour that we have. We have 2 buses. And we will have either a member of MOA leadership or MOA staff on each one of those buses. That gives you a great opportunity to interact with MOA, hear what they're doing, for the military community. Make your suggestions if you have any. It's really a welcome kind of opportunity. We talk about all-inclusive vacations as much as possible, land tours. We're going to go through that. There is pretty clear of what's included, the meals that are included, the excursions and everything else. And that is that is not only we're going to go through that. When I send out the video of today's presentation, I'll include a link. A lot of you have probably already seen it. We do have a website that has been designed exclusively for this group. So there is a tab which goes through the day-to-day itinerary that will show everything. There's a tab that goes through all the exclusions. So if Gina's going through this and you're like, man, that's a lot of information, know that there's a website where everything we talk about today, you can go and review again. We talk about exclusive onboard events and excursions. We like to, for lack of a better word, kind of tailor make trips to the MOA membership. So we will have a welcome reception and a farewell reception. But a couple of things that we've added when we kind of go through this itinerary is the first thing is obviously it is a long ways to get to Australia, New Zealand. You're actually going to fly into Christchurch. And that is going to be a very long trip. So what we did is we added a free day, for lack of a better word, at the beginning of the tour. So when everybody lands in Christchurch, goes to the hotel, there is nothing scheduled for that first 24 hours that you're there. So you can rest, relax, kind of try getting acclimated to eliminate that jet lag as much as possible. Oftentimes, these tours start immediately upon your arrival, and really doesn't give you a time to kind of get caught up, so to speak, to get rid of that jet lag. So we do have a free day. Of course, if you want to sightsee or go out to dinner or anything like that, you're free to do whatever you want. But really, that first day is just there so you can get acclimated. And then when the tour begins, you're bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, for a better lack of a better term. The other thing that we have is for our farewell reception. A lot of people, when they go to Sydney, will tour the Sydney Opera House. We decided that we wanted to do a little bit more than that. So actually, we're going to have our farewell dinner at the Sydney Opera House. We'll actually dine there. And then after dinner, we're going to see a performance there at the Sydney Opera House. It's something that has been really well received from the people that are going. A really unique opportunity. I have not spoken to anyone who's ever either dined at or seen a performance at the Sydney Opera House, and we've had a lot of people to go there. In fact, Gina, I was told when we set this up that you guys had not done this for a group before, where you did the dinner in the performance. So it really is a unique opportunity, and something that I think is really going to be a highlight of the tour. I already talked about friends and family invited. I do not think that we've done a signature group that hasn't had somebody bring family or friends. I literally just got off the Danube Holiday Markets cruise, and we had a couple brought their 16-year-old daughter. There are no age requirements that we put on it. Obviously, some of the vendors are going to have age requirements, but if you have a grandchild or a child you want to bring, family members, friends, whatever it is, everyone is invited if you are going. So it's for MOA members and MOA guests. I will say that we only have, as of this morning, we only had 23 seats left. That's over the 2 buses. So we basically have 13 seats on one bus, 10 on the other. We have 112 people who signed up for today's webinar, kind of the last chance to join us on this tour. Now, I did look, 10 of those people are already booked. So we have 102 people, and only 23 spots. So I don't like to do that high pressure sales kind of thing, but I want to be completely upfront is we don't have enough space for a fourth of the people who are signed up for this webinar to go on this tour. So if you want to go, when you go to that website, there is a book form. There's a book now form on there, and you go in and you enter your information that we're going to need, your name, your address, your date of birth, your email address, your phone number, and all that type of information that we're going to need for the manifest. So as soon as you decide you want to go, let us know. We will do a wait list, but we're already past final payment. So most of the time, the most, I guess you'd say, attrition that you normally have in groups is with final payment. So people put down a deposit. A year later, 6 months later, depends on how far away they booked. I think we started booking this a little over a year ago. A year later, when you go to somebody and say it's time to make final payment, that's when people will back out. So since we're already past final payment, I don't think we're going to have a lot of attrition for the people that are already booked. So I think I'm pretty confident in saying that we're pretty much at 23 seats, and then that's kind of that's all we're going to have room for. We'll do a wait list, but not overly optimistic that any of those will clear up. The last thing we talk about, it is a rare opportunity. We're only doing 3 of them in 2025, 3 MOAA signature groups. May is the Australia, New Zealand. August, we have a Greek Isles cruise on an Atlas Ocean yacht. And then in September, we have Burgundy Provence, which is a river cruise. So we have 3 different opportunities. One's a tour, one's an ocean cruise, and one's a river cruise. So this is the only tour that we will be doing as a signature group in 2026, and only one of 3 opportunities you have to join us next year. I do want to say a couple of things about the signature groups. Number one is they are the highest rated trips that we do, be it cruise or land, it doesn't matter. You have that kind of camaraderie of the fact that everyone on the bus or everyone on the cruise ship is going to be a MOAA member. And it's not only the camaraderie. One of the things that we've noticed, and this was pointed out to me a member, but is the added level of respect and consideration that MOAA members have for their fellow members. You can actually sense that. This is not the general public. This isn't, the person that is kind of rude or inconsiderate of other people. These are your fellow MOAA members, and you will really be able to tell that when you do it. Of course, we have MOAA leadership on board, and I probably should have mentioned it. Someone from MOAA Vacations will be with the trip as well. As I said, I just got off the Danube Holiday Markets trip, and I can tell you that over the course of those 7 days, I talked to everybody in the group, and if anybody had any issues, concerns, or whatever, I was right there to fix it right there and then. We had somebody whose bags were late. We, had some people with the transfers and stuff like that. So we'll actually have, to use that military term, boots on the ground for this group that'll be there. And of course, Collette has these fantastic tour guides who are going to be there as well. But I don't want to emphasize this enough because we just did Iceland with Collette last year, and right after we did it in the next couple of months, and Gina and I are talking about this morning, the number of people that came to us and said, when are you going to do Iceland again? The only itinerary we've repeated so far is Paris and Normandy, and we did that in 2019 and 2024, so 5 years. So at the soonest, if you miss this Australia, New Zealand, we won't do South Pacific again until 2020, 2030, if even then, because there's so many places in the world that people come to us and say, you should do a signature group there, you should do a signature group here. I just think it's a unique opportunity. If the dates work for you and you can make it work, really think it's something you should try doing. So I see we've already had a couple questions pop up. I think this is my last slide, right, Gina?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, because in July we had another one where I had like a picture of the website, but I thought we took that one out. All right, so as I said, going to turn it over to Gina. Gina is going to talk about Collette. We're going to go through the itinerary and all the information on Australia, New Zealand on a day-to-day basis. I'm going to mute my mute myself and turn off my camera. I'm going to be answering your questions on Q&A. For those of you who came in late, we're going to do a Q&A at the end. So any questions you have, ask them. I will be answering them in part while Gina's talking. We'll go through everything in detail at the end. So Gina, tell us more about Collette and Australia and New Zealand.
All right. Thanks, John. And thank you so much for having me today to tell you about this wonderful, wonderful tour. And we are just so thankful for your partnership. And I want to tell you a little bit about why the reasons why John has chosen to work with Collette on this trip, which, as he mentioned, is a very exclusive experience where we are going to take you on the trip of a lifetime to visit two beautiful countries. But before we dive into that, I am going to tell you a little bit about Collette for those of you who are not familiar. So, if you are not familiar with us, you may have heard of us on Wheel of Fortune. We are one of the North America's most recognized travel brands. We've been around for about 106 years, oldest tour operator in the United States. And our number one goal for you is to make this very seamless and easy on you. So as I mentioned, we've been around for 106 years. And so with that, we've made mistakes in the past, we've learned from them, and we've really perfected what guided touring looks like today. So when you travel with us, you can not only expect to have that 4-star plus experience and accommodations, but I like to say more of a 5-star experience with this. We're going to make sure everything's handled for you from start to finish. And with that being said, that means you're not going to have to worry about that 50-pound bag that you are traveling with. When we move from hotel to hotel, you just set that big bag right outside your door and we will pick it up for you, take it, and it'll be in your next room at your hotel. You're also going to have our wonderful tour guides with you that are going to be with you every step of the way. They stay at your hotels with you. And they're not only there to guide you, but they're also there to provide you with wonderful suggestions, tell you about the history, and really bring these sites to life for you that you're visiting. Not only do we have the tour manager with you that's going to be guiding you, but we also have expert local guides. And the reason for that is we really want you to be able to dive deeper and really get to experience the culture of where you're visiting and really kind of bring this to life for you, tell you about firsthand experiences, because who better to tell you than somebody that is local to where you're visiting. And most importantly, when you are going on a guided tour, you're not going to have to worry about standing in line or, waiting around. We really want to make sure that you're getting the most of your day and the most of your time here so you can really get to see everything and more, but also have a good balance of free time at the same time. And that's some of the exclusive things that John had mentioned at the beginning that have been included for you to make sure that this is going to be a seamless experience from including that pre-night for you. And we will walk through the entire itinerary here. Um, and what each day is going to look like for you, and when you're going to have that free time, and what the trip will look like. But last but not least, as I said, we've got over 100 years experience, and our tours are designed by travelers for travelers like you. So our number one goal is to really make this a once in a lifetime experience for you. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into this itinerary and tell you about this wonderful 16-day tour, which is going to be at the perfect time, May 6th through the 21st of 2025. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera here so we can really focus on the beauty of these pictures and what you're really going to get to experience and bring everything to life for you. So as we look at the itinerary here, We will have that overnight flight. You will be crossing the international date line here. So that is actually going to take about 2 days in theory, but really only an overnight flight. But I always just like to say, couple naps, couple meals, couple movies, wake up and you'll be there. And then we've got that pre-night in Christchurch for you, where you will get to relax and get refreshed before the beginning of the tour. Now, one thing I do want to cover is our activity level. I always think it's very important just to make sure we set the right expectation on what you can expect for the activity. So we at Collette measure on a scale of 1 to 4, 4 being the most active, and this is going to be a level 2 activity level. So this is going to be a very, very balanced approach. What we describe a level 2 as is walking 2 to 3 miles over the course of the entire day is not going to be an issue for you. Now, keep in mind, we do take breaks in between. It's going to be a very leisurely walking tour, but we just want to make sure that you are prepared so we can really get to take you to all those sites and really fill in those days with a great balance of free time that's going to allow you to recharge and set on your own adventure as well. Okay, so as John talked about, there are some wonderful exclusive opportunities that have been included just for this signature group. So, what you can expect that you would not get outside of going on this tour is number one is transfers from Christchurch Airport when you arrive to your hotel. Beginning of your tour will be included for you and at the end of your tour as well. So you're not going to have to worry about getting to the airport. We will make sure that's all set up for you. We've got that additional stay for you in Christchurch to allow you to relax and kind of get your bearings together after that long flight. And then we have a spectacular welcome dinner where you're going to get to know everybody that you're going to be spending the next few weeks with on the second night in Christchurch, which will give you the opportunity to meet everybody and make new friends as we prepare for this adventure. And then, of course, the huge highlight that John mentioned is you are going to be invited to a very special farewell dinner and a performance at the world famous Sydney Opera House. All right, so just a few things to give you an idea of what the weather is going to be like, time difference, and how you should dress for this trip. So, weather is opposite of what it is. Their seasons are opposite. So, this is going to be what is similar to weather here in the fall. Um, so very much like October in the Midwest, but you can expect upper 50s in New Zealand, which is probably going to be the coolest weather you'll experience, and then at 70s to mid 70s in Sydney, and then up to 80 in Cairns. So we like to say bring clothes to layer, easy to, if you bring a light jacket, easy to take off if you get a little bit too warm. Dress on tour is going to be pretty casual, so slacks, khakis, comfortable tops are all appropriate. And you will want to bring some beachwear for when we go visit the Great Barrier Reef as well. Um, but you'll notice that locals tend to wear nicer clothes when we go out to restaurants. So you might want to bring a couple of nicer outfits that are not tennis shoes to wear for dinner. And of course, for the Opera House performance, we do ask that you wear a collared shirt and slacks for men. And then casual dress or dress pants, top at minimum. Sport coat is, something you can wear, not absolutely necessary, but wouldn't be frowned upon. But For majority of the times other than dinner, you will want to make sure you've got comfortable footwear that fit you well and give you the necessary support as we are going to be walking and touring. And you'll see currency. Um, Credit cards are very, very widely used, but if you need to get cash out, there are ATMs. But credit cards, long are the days where we have to prepare to make sure we have cash. Credit cards are going to be best for you to use, but also there will be ATMs, and your tour manager will always make sure to tell you where you can find the cheapest rates so you don't have to pay extra rates on those ATMs. So time difference, Sydney is about 16 hours ahead Eastern Standard Time, and New Zealand is about 18 hours ahead. You will need to make sure that you have your US passport, and there will be an electronic visa needed. And rest assured that you will have the team at Brenco to make sure, and MOAA Vacations to make sure that you are all prepared and have all of the necessary things you need to travel prior to this trip. And you will need a voltage converter for this, and we'll once again make sure that you are all prepared and have all of the necessary things that you need for this trip from start to finish. So we will have that evening flight and then arrive in the morning, approximately about 15-hour flight. So, and then we've got that guide with you from start to finish. And as I said, passport is required, and we'll want to have that visa, which is going to be an electronic visa, very simple and done through the app. But Mike and John will be able to assist you with that every step of the way to make sure you have everything you need, or if you need any assistance with that when you are preparing to sign up for the trip. So after our overnight flight, we began our adventure to Australia and New Zealand, and we will make our stop in to Christchurch, where we have that pre-night, which is going to allow you to relax as we arrive here in the historic city of Christchurch, which is actually the largest city in South Island of New Zealand, and you will can either your hotel will be pretty centrally located. So if you want to step out and do some exploring or rest, the day is yours for however you would like to spend it. And then we're on to day 3 and 4. So after some free time to relax from that flight and a little sightseeing, we are going to get to meet your fellow travelers during a welcome dinner to start your South Pacific journey off on the right foot. We'll have that welcome dinner and some drinks for you before you go back and get rested, because the next day we are going to have offer some independent sightseeing for you to do some exploring. And then touring starts the following day. So we are going to, of course, start with a city tour of Christchurch, where we are going to get to learn why it is known as the Garden City. And if you remember, there was a devastating earthquake here back in 2011, and it's really neat on this tour to see, how they've rebuilt things, all of the things that they how really came together as a community during that time to rebuild this city. So we're going to take you around and get to see all of the sites and get to know why it is known as the Garden City and see all of the beautiful public parks and residential gardens here. And then we are going to, of course, not a visit to these countries without getting a little bit of wildlife. So we're going to pay a visit to the Willowbank Wildlife Reserve, where we are going to have a leader in the conservation of New Zealand species that is going to offer you a chance to view New Zealand's what is known as the Big Five, which are the kiwi, the key, the kaka, the takaki, and we're going to get get up close and personal with these different species that are found at the reserve, and you'll get to see a variety from exotic to farmyard to native ones. So, really a unique way to start off and get to know the wildlife here. And then we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the culture. So, we are going to get to learn about the local indigenous culture of the Maori people, where we are going to have a paddle on the river, Avon River, which is called a waka, also known as a canoe, is what we would call it. But you'll get to learn about all of the culture here and the history and customs. Next day, we are going to depart Christchurch and we are going to make our way south to Queenstown. We will arrive in the afternoon, have some time to explore, give you kind of a lay of the land independently before we have dinner that evening. And then we will, next day, we are going to have a wonderful barbecue lunch on the shores of Lake Wakatipu. And you are going to get to start to see some of the beautiful scenery that this country has to offer. And of course, we want you to meet the locals here. So we're going to get to have a sheepdog demonstration before we sail back, where actually the sheep actually outnumber the amount of people here in New Zealand. There's actually about 25 million sheep to 5 million people, so they really do dominate. So you're going to get to know about their daily lives and of the sheepdog farmers and kind of what their day-to-day life looks like during this demonstration. And then we are going to next morning, we will make our way to Milford Sound, where along the way is nothing going to be short of the beauty as we get to see the rugged grandeur of the Hollyford Valley, where you're going to start to see how magical the scenery is as we travel through the ancient beech forest via the Homer Tunnel. So once we arrive in the beautiful Milford Sound, we are going to have a cruise here where you're going to get to see the breathtaking beauty here of the fjords and see why it is one of the most visited places in South Island. You're going to get to see all of not only waterfalls and different mountains and see why it's one of the most famous tourist destinations here and all of the beautiful peaks as we take this breathtaking cruise. And this is actually a day that you are going to hope that there is rain in the forecast because as you are seeing all of these beautiful waterfalls, you're really you can actually get to see a rainbow along these waterfalls that make it that much more spectacular to see. But even without that, it is absolutely beautiful. But keep in mind that. You are going to, if whether it rains or not, or if you see rain in the forecast, it's something you can actually look forward to. And then the next morning, we're going to give you some free time in Queenstown, kind of catch your breath here. You can either spend some time doing some shopping, get some unique souvenirs, go people watching in the village. Or if you want to forego a little bit of that free time, we also do have an optional tour for you which will showcase many of the locations where you will recognize from some blockbuster movies that have been filmed, where we embark on a four-wheel drive adventure through the mystical landscapes of the high country here in New Zealand. So getting to see some more of that unspoiled wilderness. and get to see where, of course, if you are a Lord of the Rings fan, the trilogy was filmed here. You'll actually get to trek the place here and really see the remarkable mountains and get to see the entrance to Skipper Canyon, and also see the roads created by pioneers more than 150 years ago, and follow the miners' old wagon trail as well. So, really a unique thing to see as well if you don't mind forgoing a little bit of that free time. And later that afternoon, we have something that we call Choice on Tour when you travel with Collette. With this is no extra cost out of your pocket to do one thing or the other. We just know everybody's different. Want to give you the choice of how you'd like to spend your day. So we've got two spectacular choices for you. So you may choose to go bird watching at the Kiwi BirdLife Park, or take a gondola ride to the top of Bob's Peak, where you get to see stunning panoramic views of the region. Both are very, very wonderful choices. So, if you're feeling a little bit more adventurous, I would definitely recommend going on the gondola ride. But if you are more into the wildlife, going to the BirdLife Park is going to be great too. You'll get to see many different species that are native just to New Zealand, and the wildlife that is right across acres right in the heart of Queenstown. And then this evening, we are going to gather for your farewell to New Zealand dinner, where we will get to have some wonderful wines. Wine is something usually we think of when we think of going to Europe, but rest assured, the wine is very, very spectacular here as well. So get to kind of gather with your fellow travelers and kind of talk about your experiences thus far before we make our way to Australia, where we are going to wake up in the morning. We'll have breakfast, and then it's going to be about a 5 hour flight. This inner air is included in the package. Um, this is when you're going to want to make sure to have those flip flops and bathing suits here, as we make it to this tropical gateway and of course, the most natural attractions in the world, the Great Barrier Reef. But of course, we really want to dive into the culture here and come to know the history of Australia's original inhabitants, where we are going to make a visit to the Nature Park, where you are going to have an Indigenous guide who is going to show you some of their oldest customs and traditions, how they use plants and things as medicinal purposes, really kind of a completely different way of life, and getting to learn all about the history and get to experience the fun of their culture, some dancing and a fun little experience with the locals here, giving you the opportunity to ask some questions as well. Um, and then we're going to make our way to visit Hartley's Crocodile Adventures, where we're going to get to see some crocodiles on a nature cruise this afternoon. So we will get to experience that. And then we are going to head through the rainforest, where we're going to get to see some more wildlife, such as birds, reptiles, wallabies, and of course, visit with a cute little koala, get to chat with a wildlife naturalist, and learn more about these furry little creatures before we end at Hartley's with dinner at a restaurant with some locals. And then the next day, we are going to board a high speed catamaran where we are going to make our exciting excursion to the Great Barrier Reef. which of course is known for to have a haven of thousands of species of sea life, from turtles to birds. This is the largest living organism, where you're going to find over close to 3,000 individual coral reef systems, and just home to so much diverse marine wildlife. So we will first explore the reef from your base right there on Green Island, and but there's many different ways to explore the reef, and we have those opportunities for you. So whether you want to stroll along the walking trails, really just relax on one of the beaches, or just kind of watch the fish and the sea turtles swim past the pier, the day is yours. We have a glass bottom boat ride. We can take you out to sea, which is really allows you to almost feel as if you were swimming with the fish. So whether you want to stay on the boat and just look through the bottom glass boat ride, you can do that and see all the bright colors and beauty of the turquoise waters, or even jump in to watch and snorkel and really experience this reef in a more immersive way. Now, if you're feeling a bit more adventurous and really want to dive a little bit deeper into the Great Barrier Reef, we have a optional excursion for you, where we'll actually take you out to the outer Great Barrier Reef, and you'll get to jump in and explore all of the wildlife here and get to see more of the massive reef system here, and also the opportunity to jump in and kind of go underwater and see the life up close as you snorkel along the reef. And then next day, we are going to jump on another flight where we are going to have about 3 hours, where we make it to Sydney. Where we are going to start the morning with creating your own adventure, where you can either do some exploring on your own or simply relax and just take in the tropical atmosphere. Um, and get to really know this place here and all of the history it has and beauty, and of course, see where the original English colonists first settled during a city tour of Sydney, really giving you a lay of the land, and see all of the highlights the city has to offer. We'll get to tour King's Cross. We'll get to see the famous Harbor Bridge. We're going to go explore a little bit of Chinatown. We'll get to see Circular Quay. There's also a lot of beautiful botanical gardens. And if you are a shopper, this is also a great place to do so as well. Many, many different things to do all at your fingertips. But of course, we want to see one of the most famous sites here. So we are going to um, go inside the Opera House, where you're going to get to see the world's most fascinating architectural sites as we take a tour of the Sydney Opera House, right along the Sydney Harbor, and of course get to go and see the concert halls, see the famous grand organ, and um, really get to dive deeper, see it as when it's empty before the evening, where you are going to get to experience an actual concert here. And then we've got another unique experience for you, where we are going to get to learn firsthand about opals during a special presentation here at the National Opal Collection, where you will find a variety of different black opals, white opals, that are very unique to Australia, as it is their national gemstone. So we'll get to learn a little bit more about that here. And then embracing the exciting city of Sydney the next day when you can do some exploring on your own. Like I said, there's many, many different things to do here, whether you want to do some shopping or go see the Sydney Tower. Your tour manager will be with you to offer suggestions of things to do as well. And then this evening, we are going to say farewell to Australia by chatting with some of your new friends and taking in the sights during a delightful dinner cruise of the Sydney Harbor, which is absolutely wonderful cruise. Great way to watch the sunset where you can have dinner. There'll be wine and beer served, and really you'll want to make sure to bring your camera here because there's really going to be some amazing photo opportunities of the harbor and seeing the sunset as we sail along and toast with our fellow travelers. And then your tour, unfortunately, it is company policy. We do have to take you home at some time, but your tour does come to a close today, but hopefully leaving you with some very pleasant memories of a wonderful adventure, seeing these beautiful two countries and all of the beauty they have to offer, with some really, really great exclusive experiences for you. Now, if you do want to extend, if you've got a couple extra days, we do have a option for if you want to break up that flight here at the end, where we have an optional extension for you to Fiji, which is going to be 4 days and 4 meals. And this is really going to be a very relaxing part of the trip. So this is, you're not going to have a tour manager with you on this part. It is going to be independent. So you won't have a host or a guide, but it's really just intended to give you some freedom and flexibility to explore this beautiful island and relax and take in these beautiful beaches. So if you're somebody that likes to just lay on the beach, this is a great way to end a wonderful trip for you. Now, as we talked about those MOAA exclusive, I just want to touch on a few things. We do, if you purchase your airfare with us, which Mike can provide you with a quote if this is something that you're interested in, we do offer door-to-door sedan service where if you are within 50 miles, we will pick you up at your home, take you to the airport, so you don't have to worry about getting to the airport, and then we'll take you back at the end as well. So, as John mentioned, we only have about 23 seats left, and we've got a pretty full room here today. So, we are looking at a land price of $67.99 per person at the double rate. And I need to confirm with John on what the single supplement here
Single
is.
supplement's $1,500.
1,500 if you are wanting a single room. What this does include for you is your MOAA member benefit, that round trip, hometown transfers, airport transfers, hotels, your Collette guide along the way. So if you would like to go ahead and sign up here, we are looking at a deposit between 1,000 and 1,500, and you can make sure to contact Mike at MOAA Vacations, and he will work on getting you signed up. And if there are more people that get signed up, then we will put you on the wait list and let you know that you are waitlisted as well.
Yeah, real quick on that, Gina, it's $1,000 per person deposit for double occupancy. Single occupancy is a $1,500 deposit.
Okay, yes, thank you for clarifying that.
Sure. And then go ahead. I had one other thing, but I'll wait till you finish.
Nope, I can go ahead and kick it back to you, John. I just wanted to mention that website that John had mentioned at the beginning, listed right here, which has a plethora of information that we went over today, the full itinerary. But of course, if you have any questions that are not on that you are having trouble finding, always contact MOAA Vacations and they will guide you in the right direction.
Perfect. Yeah, the only other thing I was going to say about the single occupancy is we do kind of a roommate share kind of thing. Um, it's taken advantage of a lot more in cruises where the single supplement a lot of times is 200%, where we will put two MOA members, two female MOA members, or two male MOA members together. And basically, what we do in that is if you would like to share a room, we'll put you in contact with someone else who's looking to do the same thing, and you guys can talk on the phone or email or text or whatever, and decide if you'd want to be roommates. We've had great success with that. We have people that have roommates shared 4 or 5 years ago, and now they continue to travel together, because solo travel is not a one-time issue. If you're a solo traveler, you're well aware that whenever you want to do a cruise or a tour or whatever it is, there's always that solo travel expense. So if it's something you're interested in, when you fill out the booking form or when you call or email, let everybody know that you'd be interested in doing that. But once again, it is a relatively low single supplement. A 25% single supplement, I guess a little bit more than that, but certainly reasonable. We had a few questions during Gina's presentation, but they're kind of specific questions. But one of them was asking about extending pre or post. Obviously, we have the Fiji extension available, which we have a number of people that signed up for. But if you personally just want to go in a few days early or stay a few days late, you can absolutely do that. You don't even have to stay at the same hotel. If you go to the website, you can actually see the hotel. During the tour, we only stay at 4 hotels. It's 3 nights, 4 nights, 3 nights, 3 nights. So that's 3 nights. Christchurch, 4 nights. Oh, excuse me. What's the second city in New Zealand? Gina?
Sorry,
Oh, what's
the
this? After Christchurch, they go where?
Queenstown?
Queenstown. Sorry, I don't know why my mind went blank on that. Yeah, so it's 3 nights hotel Christchurch, 4 nights Queenstown, then 3 nights Cairns, and 3 nights Sydney. So if you wanted to go in a couple of days early in Christchurch and or stay a couple of days later in Sydney, you can. We can tell you what hotels we're going to be staying at, because that's obviously going to be easier. But if there's a place in town you want to stay, or a hotel that you'd prefer to stay at, you can absolutely go in early, stay at any hotel you want, do whatever you'd like on your own, and then join the tour on May 8th, which is when the tour actually starts. And then May 9th is when we have our first activity, because once again we have that day of relax and recover kind of at the beginning. Other than that, I don't think we had any questions that we would have for the group. We've got 7 minutes. Let's see. So yeah, somebody asked about the dates and somebody asked about pre's and post. Yeah, so we only had 3 questions so far. So obviously you did a phenomenal job. No one's got any questions. So as I mentioned, we did have, I know we only had, I think at the top, some 20 some people who logged into the webinar. We typically get about a third of the people who show up live, since we actually are going to send everybody a recording to this. So do know that we have 100 plus people that are going to get a copy of this webinar this evening. So once again, if you're interested in going, I would suggest calling or dropping an email to Mike, ask any questions you might have. I think, I can't stress enough how phenomenal of an opportunity I think this is, to go to a bucket list destination with everything, all the extras that you get as part of being a MOA group. So, oops, now we got a question. See, if I talk long enough, people think of questions. Please confirm the optional Fiji extension includes airfare from Sydney to Fiji.
Yes, that would be included in the package price.
Yeah. So what you would need to do on that one would be is if you weren't using Collette Air, you would need to schedule your flights. So you flew into Christchurch and then flew home from Fiji because, as we mentioned, the airfare from New Zealand to Australia is included in the price. And if you do the Fiji package, that airfare from Sydney to Fiji is included in that price as well. So,
Yes.
okay. All righty. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. This is our last webinar of the year. So let me take this opportunity to wish everybody a very Merry Christmas, a happy holiday season, and a wonderful new year. And hopefully we hear from you on Australia, New Zealand, or another signature group. As I mentioned, we just got 3 of them next year. So not a lot of opportunity to travel on what, as I said at the very beginning, most popular trips that we do every year. People who go just love them. I think I've joked before, but it's somewhat true. They are somewhat addictive. I do know, as I mentioned, I just got off of the Danube holiday markets, and a number of people that I spoke to on that trip are looking forward to going on the next signature group. We, in fact, have people who've, and we've only been doing this for 5 years, who've already been on 8, 9, 10 signature groups because once they go on one, it's just like the best way to travel. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year from everybody at MOAA Vacations. And I'm going to turn it over to Gina for the final word. Gina, thank you for taking time out of your schedule again to meet with us today. And turn it over to you.
Yes, thank you so much for having me, John. And we look forward to hopefully getting those last 23 names in, as we know this is going to be a very, very spectacular trip, once in a lifetime opportunity. But other than that, I just want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and thanks again for joining today.
Everyone, you'll get an email from me this evening. Have a great remainder of your day, and we'll talk soon.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.